everyone, my name is Reminisce.
Hey y'all, this is Jen.
And this is our podcast,
Speak Up.
What's up, Jen?
Hey girl.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Glad we made it to episode 48.
Yeah, 48.
2 from 50.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, me and Jen are best friends, and we create this podcast to use our voices to motivate people to overcome life challenges through self-love and respect.
We gotta have self-love and respect, y'all, each and every single day of our lives.
Yeah, for real. So, Jen, what's our title today?
Today, our episode, considering it is the holiday season, it is our SpeakUpJV holiday episode, but it is called Dear 2020.
Oh, Dear 2020. I thought everybody got a letter for that.
Right. Maybe multiple letters.
Multiple, yeah.
I know, I do. I'll be like Aaliyah writing a 4-page letter.
Right, completely.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to start singing again.
Right.
I know. Yeah, for those of y'all that saw that last episode. Yeah, but we wanted to do an episode about this to, reflect on 2020. I know it's been chaotic. There's been a lot going on with the pandemic, but also I feel like there were a lot of blessings in disguise. And I feel like, one thing about this chaotic year is to remember that perspective is also important.
Yeah.
I think really the lens that you look at things, you could choose to focus just on the negative, or you can choose to look, well, maybe this, this happened or that. And I feel like that's one of the things that helped me get through this year is shifting my perspective.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, I think when this whole thing started, at first I freaked out for a moment. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, I have to do that. But what about our plans here and that? I was kind of just more coming in from shock mode versus now, I'm a little more calm. I'm like, all right, I know this is going to be here for the long run. And there's nothing I can really do on the grand scheme of things, but I could at least shift how I'm looking at things, how I'm reacting to things, certain people, and just be more cautious of what's in our bubble every day.
That's so true. Yeah, I feel like with all that, that's where those lessons come in too. I don't know, I learned so much in such a small amount of time.
Right.
It's crazy because my birthday's in January, so it's at the beginning. Well, yours in February, so our birthdays are at the beginning of the year. So I feel like 26 was very interesting for both of us, and it was spent literally in this new wave,
Seriously.
So going now into 2021, about to turn 27, it's like, oh, what is what's in store, what's gonna happen, Also, too, I feel like this year allowed me to do a lot of the inner work that I wasn't doing. I feel like, with the pandemic and stuff, obviously things were closing down, job situations, things like that. It gave me that time to really, sit there and focus on, things that I feel like I wasn't, things I was neglecting, I would say, because I was so, stuck on the things I was focused on before the pandemic, But I feel like, one of the perspective shifts about this year is that it's okay to learn to slow down. I feel like it slowed everybody down in a lot of ways, and I think it forced us to focus on things that we usually do not give attention to.
Yeah, I agree so much on that. Honestly, I don't know, 2020, especially specifically relating to the pandemic, it just taught me that nothing matters except for your mindset at this point.
Woo!
Your finances, your status, none of that stuff matters right now. Any goals that you may have had for this year, if you had to shift, your plans around for them or something. I'm not saying, if you accomplish something this year, don't celebrate. I'm just saying, if you didn't, don't feel so bad about it if you've been focusing on yourself. At least that's what I've been doing. I think a lot of the major goals I had for this year, I've had to kind of postpone or rearrange, but yeah, same thing, just really shifting that mindset and just kind of a reset for 2020. I think that's the biggest thing that I had to learn also. I had reached a really low point this year. For those of you who don't know, I did catch COVID, and after that, it just sucked, not only physically, but mentally too. But then I also realized I was on autopilot for most of 2020 up until that point. So after I recovered and got cleared, it just shifted my whole perspective on Jen, you can still take control of certain things, and especially getting back into my fitness and stuff. It's just kind of reminded me that mindset really is all that matters, and it's okay to slow down and let things change and go with the flow sometimes.
Oh, I hope y'all are listening. I had to throw it back on you. Yeah, mindset. mindset, faith, spirituality, all that stuff. I feel like if you were tapping into those, I feel like, yeah, it was easier to have a rougher year in that aspect. So I'm real. That's something that got me, because I feel like there's a lot of big shifts in my life in many areas that I didn't even see coming. Like, I actually had like one of the biggest breakdowns. I don't know last time I had that type of breakdown in my life, you know. But when it happened, I had to, like you said, shift my mindset, and I had to like focus. And that's what I feel like having that was necessary, so I can come back stronger. And it's like, it's at a point, it's like, okay, well, you know. And I think that's what the inner work looks like. The inner work is those down moments, you know, like you said, with you catching COVID and things like that. Like I remember you venting this to me, like having that time to think about certain things, because it was like that pause mode, you know, me having that breakdown, hitting that low point. It helped me get to the root of why am I feeling this way? What was the root to the big blowout? Because obviously, let's be real, with a blowout, that's a bunch of many things that added up over time for it to get to that, you know. So especially for a person like me to finally blow up, like I'm always laughing and stuff. For me to do that, it was like, oh my goodness. So I think inner work looked different for everybody, but you know, it was beautiful to talk to other friends, other family members, and see that growth going through. That's how people pick up more hobbies, people you know, getting more into their health. It was good to see health as a thing, people spending more time with their family. Like, oh my goodness. And then it even woke me up to how much time I wasn't spending with certain family members, and like I was really taking their time for granted. Like certain family members would try to call me and reach me, and I'm just like, oh, I'm doing this, doing that. And it's like I had to really sit with myself and say, no, this is the best time right now, sitting in gratitude, sitting with people that I actually love and care about, and actually seeing who really got, you know, like knowing who to give my energy to this year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think so much inner work language is being thrown around right now. So a lot of what Renice touched up on is what that inner work looks like just really sitting down and practicing gratitude and realizing, like, if you did get triggered by certain things this year, like, you know, where did it come from? You know, most likely the situation that pissed you off isn't really what's making you mad. It's probably something, like Renice was saying, that accumulated, or just something either from childhood or whatever. I'm not trying to make people relive any sort of trauma or saying you have to face it or anything, like, just, you know, making that clear. But if you feel like you're ready for it this year, I think it's a perfect time to do it, especially like if you can't spend time with your loved ones or anything right now. It's so easy to get caught up in this dark bubble, and while it's good to allow ourselves to feel these negative emotions, it's not good for us to stay there. And I think I had to learn that the hard way this year. Like, I didn't realize how much of a dark bubble I was really falling into, but then how much I was not letting myself get out of it either. And I think that's the scary part about inner work too, that it makes you learn about that stuff, you know. Like, I didn't realize how much a lot of my problems had to do with me, with just the way I was reacting to them, with the way I decided how long to dwell on them, and just different things like that. So doing that inner work has been scary, and honestly, like, just learning how much I've self-sabotaged throughout the years, like whether it is relationships or, you know, certain hobbies or goals I've had or whatever, like I've been my own culprit in certain situations, but also just learning how to get back up from that. And like, it's okay, you know, learning to practice patience and practice grace with myself, and just allowing myself to rest as well this year. I think I was so caught up in the hustle and bustle of, like, you know, work and just trying to do this, do that, trying to go to the gym every single day, and just, like, you know, a lot of driving, and not spending time with my loved ones, not being home. But then now that I get to slow down and kind of do a lot of those things from home, it's such a blessing in that sense. I know that's not the case for everybody, but at least for me personally, that's one of the things I do value about 2020, is just how much I've been able to see my loved ones who I already live with and wasn't able to enjoy that time with before.
Well said. And one thing too, like, going off of what you said about trying not to figure my thought about going off about not staying in that, you know, the negative dark cloud. I think one of the things about hitting rock bottom and all that is that you start to really analyze your life and realize what's causing the drag, so where you start creating the environment that you want. Because let's be real, being in quarantine, you're in the same environment every day, right? You're doing everything. I had to learn how to get creative with my environment. Like, okay, so here's my day, I'm in quarantine. If I do talk on the phone, who am I going to speak to? Is it, you know, does this person make me feel good? Do they motivate me? Do they add to my life? Or is it draining energy? Who am I allowing, you know, like, what am I entertaining myself with? what scenery am I looking at? Like it taught me to go sit outside more, sit on the balcony, go to the park, do little things that I didn't have time to do normally. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So it's like about creating that, to prevent myself from going deeper into the bubble that I had fell in also, And I also want to say too, the whole identity change with everything. Like, I feel like with people not being resonated with their jobs or, like the amount of money you get in and stuff, like that's a big shift, But at the end of the day, what are you doing about that change? Like, are you letting it be, are you letting it stunt you? Are you like in complete thought, like, dang, this change happened to me, I'm stuck here, this is the ending? Or are you taking advantage of that change? It's like, okay, I'm going to make something great out of this big old life-changing situation that happened to me.
I think also another lesson to draw from that is realizing you're not your job. You're not your income status. Like,
nope.
We are not any of these external worldly things. Like, we are our own soul, and just the way we choose to identify that on our own is really all that we can claim. But everything else can change in the snap of a finger, honestly. And I think, this pandemic showed a lot of us that stuff, that, your income don't mean nothing this year. Like I was saying earlier, like, it just, everything is so superficial when it comes down to like what we attach outside of us. Like, oh, well, I got, I don't know, Gucci this, Gucci that, or whatever. So freaking what? That doesn't matter right now. Like, it's just about what does your heart look like. And I always think about this too, like, sorry, not making fun of anybody who, if you finally got your first Gucci bag or whatever, that's cool. Like, that would be nice if I had one, but it's just not my priority. Like, it's not my identity. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at, that our materialistic stuff or, like I said, jobs and things, that's not who we are. They're only a part of, what lifestyle we have, but they're not us. Like I always like that quote that says, if everybody in the world was blind, what would your soul look like? Like, how would you appear to people? And I think about that because it reminds me that my soul is the most important thing about me, and my mindset as well. So learning that about my own identity this year was huge, because then it also allows me to just not worry about what's coming, what's leaving, and kind of relieves my anxiety about what the future holds.
Yeah, I feel like with this year, a lot of things that were taken away from us was control. Think about it, before the pandemic. Yeah, I'm not saying you control everything in your life, but you had your hand on the wheel for a lot of certain things. But I think when that got snatched away, it's like, then what, And I think you working on both of us working on that piece of like, okay, this is what is happening. It taught me more faith and to trust more into God and stuff like that, and just say, it's gonna get done the way it's supposed to be. Things are happening in its divine order at its divine timing. So another thing 2020 did, I feel like the whole like plans change. It showed us that at any second, something could change, and then when that happens, what are you going to do about it? So I think that's just something to keep in mind.
Definitely. And I think with those plans changing, it allows us to kind of tap back in. I mean, I think a lot of this episode is going to go back to that, about tapping back into our inner work and inner energy, and just kind of what that looks like. And just learning to be okay with it. I know it's not easy, and even I struggle when plans change, because I tend to be a person of like, once I think of something, it sucks if I have to change it. But this year has taught me that, girl, so what? Like, you ain't got no choice but to allow the change to happen. Just kind of battling with that on the daily is a struggle, but it's something that I've learned that I had to do. And just learning to practice gratitude along with it too. I know we're saying like, oh, income doesn't matter or whatever. If you are grateful for a job that you have or gathered this year, that's cool. Definitely be grateful for the blessings that have been coming. Bernice and I have had a lot of blessings despite everything going on as well, and we're grateful for it. And a lot of those blessings, sometimes are like materialistic things or whatever, but just saying that's not everything that you should be grateful for.
And it's true, the more gratitude you have, the more you attract in that aspect, because when you're ungrateful, God will snatch it from you. So I know that, and what we're trying to say is too, like, it's okay to feel the negative emotions, and work through them. Like you said, just don't stay there. Work through it, do what you got to do, but do the inner work. You know, I think that's the thing, because I feel like once you do the inner work, you're going to feel so much better, and it's not going to affect you as much. Even when if another pandemic was to take place, at least you're stronger and you're ready for the next battle, you know. And I think what we're trying to say here is keep going, you know. Me and Jen also want to talk about some things that we did in quarantine as ways that we practice self-love. Me personally, I tapped back more into my creative side. Like I started back writing again. For me personally, that practice spending more alone time, like going out into nature and just feeling nature, you know, sitting in the sun, sunbathing, those type of things, praying more, meditating more, you know. And honestly, my mind has been way more clear. I feel like it allowed me, because in my family, I'm one of the rocks in the family, you know. I'm one of the people that keep the family together and stuff. So it you know, having to be calm for my family members, you know, I had to find ways to really pour back into myself. And I learned to pour into myself some more, you know. I realized I was stretching myself thin. Pouring into others, nothing wrong with it, but you have to pour back into yourself, you know. So once I started doing that, I felt this peace that no one could take from me, you know. And it made me stronger to be able to speak life into people, because I'm speaking life back into myself as well. What about you, Jen? What are your...
Certain practices, I mean, I'm still doing this sometimes, but just really allowing myself to be alone when I want to be, like learning to say no. I think my boundaries went up a lot this year, because as well, I'm like one of the rocks for my family.
Tell it, girl.
But just, yeah, like learning to say no has been one of my peacekeepers this year, because in saying no, I'm also realizing like my body needs rest, my mind needs rest. Something is not letting me function at this moment. So by being alone, like I just really get down to it, or I just get my peace and quiet at that moment. And also realizing during this quarantine that like all I got is me. Like even if I am the rock for my family or whatever, like if I ain't got me, how am I supposed to have them? You know, and how am I supposed to be able to be that rock if I don't feel it for myself? So I've been spending a lot of time by myself and just really getting to know me and what I like to do. I got back into drawing. I got back into Pilates this year as well. A lot of meditation and just different things that like make me happy that I didn't have time for before. I got back into reading a lot, like just things like that that bring me maybe into like a different world or make me forget about what's going on the outside for a moment, and just kind of really reflecting on how that's making me feel internally.
Right. And to add on to our list, as far as goals and ambition, one way that helped me was still keeping the roadmap. You know, me and Jen got real about our show, like more like we were like, okay, we're going to set a plan time. We're going to talk deeper, you know, to be able to release more content. You know, I came up with a better schedule, you know, breaking my goals more down into micro goals. I feel like even though it was quarantine and, you know, whatever, like there's like a stop at things, there's still things you can do for yourself to push you closer to your goals. So I think that was one of the things that I utilized this time, you know, because, you know, time is of the essence, you know, it's like stuff's still going on, you know, it's okay, have time for yourself, you know, all of us, we need to pour into ourselves, but never forget, you know, the route that you're taking, you know. And honestly, I think for me and Jen, I'm speaking for both of us with this, one thing we practiced self-love was, you know, still being able to release content for everybody. You know, me and Jen are both very passionate about this platform. You know, we want to speak life into people. We want to use our voices to motivate people to overcome large challenges through self-love and respect. And honestly, when this pandemic hit, you know, me and Jen, we had long talks about we have to keep this show going. We can't just stop it because, oh, this is going on. It's like, no, this is the time for us to do that. We're not doing it, you know, for no type of attention, this and that. Is really, we have a purpose behind this, you know. So we just appreciate the fact that we're able to, you know, add value, and we appreciate you guys' feedback, telling us like how we're or telling us what you want us to talk about, because we just want to be able to help the best way that we can.
And we use this show to let y'all know that, like, we go through it too, you know. Like, I think that's been one of our biggest goals for this show, is to be as transparent and real as possible with our listeners, our viewers, just everybody. I mean, just because we sit up here and, you know, try to speak strength into people and love into people, it doesn't mean we don't struggle with that ourselves sometimes. Like, sometimes I'm having a really bad day and I go to Reminisce for, like, you know, that moment of comfort, or just like to let me vent, and, you know, vice versa. Yeah, like we go through it, you know, and especially with everything going on, it's so easy to fall into all of that. But we also realize like how much power there is behind in everything that we practice. Everything we've ever talked about on this show has to do with our self-love journey and just who we are as women and what we stand for. And especially with this year, like reflecting on it a lot, I wouldn't want to preach something or say something to somebody if I'm not practicing it. So I even go back to other episodes and just kind of remind myself, like, you know, dang, are you working on this still? Like, what happened to this, you know, or are you able to move forward from this situation or person or whatever? And it just keeps me in check. So I'm hoping that with this show, you see it more as like a guide towards maybe what you want to work on, or you didn't realize that maybe it's something that triggered you or whatever. And if you get no value from this show, then I hope you at least enjoy the visuals. You know, we do put a lot of effort into this. But that's just something we wanted to put out there, just letting people know that, like, we love humans, you know, we love being able to just talk life into people and love into people, and just letting y'all know that, you know, it's going to be okay eventually.
Yeah, for real. And I want to say, too, with this being a trying year for a lot of us, you know, you don't know what people are going through in private. So we want to make it clear that, you know, don't take things personal, like when you have a real close relationship with somebody and, you know, whatever, they're not emotionally available for you, or they're going through things that they're not telling you about. I feel like that's a big thing, because I feel like, going along like what Jen was saying about setting the boundaries, in my personal life, I've noticed the boundaries that I've set, sometimes people don't understand it. It's like, oh, you're not, but it's like, I really been taking this time to balance my energy out. Or I had to learn too not to take it personal from the other side, you know, like people I've tried to reach out to that just couldn't, you know, that just, yeah, were emotionally available at the time, or dealing with their own stuff. So I just feel like this is a time not to attack any relationships. Give people their space if they're asking for it, you know, and wish people the best, and just send out positive things to them. Now, of course, if they're disturbing your peace, they're, you know, not respecting your boundaries, of course, get away from, you know, pull your energy back. But I'm talking about those people that, you know, you really do care about, you do want to keep the relationship, and you want to continue building it. You know, for example, me and Jen, for example, even within our friendship, there's certain boundaries. There's days when we know, okay, she's, you know, it's not the day for her, or not the day for me, whatever. But we know, like, okay, like, we don't take it personal if one of us doesn't answer the phone or doesn't answer a text or whatever. So I just wanted to put that out there too, because I have noticed, like, some things have ended during this pandemic because people were thinking that the person didn't want to talk to them or whatever. But it's really, you don't know what they're going through.
We got to protect our energy.
Yes.
You know? At the end of the day, like, you know,
Spirit
and and that's the biggest thing about this, like, with setting those boundaries and just really listening to yourself, like, protect that energy and let others protect their own energy too, even if you're super close to them, even if they're family, you've known them your whole life, whatever. Like, shoot, I've even noticed my dog gets away from me sometimes this quarantine. Like, I think he's had enough of me. Too. Yeah. You know. But for real, like, I'm just saying, you know, everybody needs their space every once in a while, and that's okay. And especially during times like this, like, we don't know what anybody's going through, what kind of day they've been having, what kind of week they've been having, and etc. Like, all of this stuff plays into effect, and we need to be able to be okay with that. Easier said than done, yeah, because sometimes I tend to be a sentimental ass baby and girl, you know, get offended.
I'm more sentimental than you.
But you know, we try not to be. Like, we just try to understand people as best as possible and meet them where they're at, because yeah, if I'm on the other end of that, if I ask for space, I would want somebody to be able to respect that.
And this is including family. I feel like a lot of us been spending more time with family than usual. So I feel like, yeah, you don't know what your family members are going through. They don't know what you're going through. So it's the same thing. It's about setting those healthy boundaries and still spending that quality time with them. You know, it's crazy too, because, you know, like, with this going on, you know, like, I don't know, last time I gave my grandparents a hug. Like, it's been at least, you know, almost a year. And that's hard because I'm an affectionate person. But it's crazy because it taught me to value them even more, because I'm like, you never know. Like, we even take, like, a hug and a kiss for granted, or, like, going over a grandparent's house or whatever, or seeing a certain family member, and you don't realize, like, at any moment you might not be able to even go see them or give them a hug or a kiss, you know. So it's just things like that. And I feel like with me personally, with family this year, it taught me, one thing 2020 gave me, I got to the root of a lot of my family problems. You know, I'm looking back, I feel more at peace from a family point of view. Like, I'm really, like, I feel like there was a time where family issues was like the biggest thing in my head.
Right.
And I think with this year, just having that time to slow down, really get time to talk to my family, work through, figure out what's up with me, understand like my family from a different point of view, and really understand what they're going through. I don't know, it just shifted something, you know. And I think with everything going on, it made us want to appreciate our loved ones even more. So I think, like I said, with all this crazy shit going on, there's still some beauty within this year. Like, maybe it's hidden, but even if it's just that, I just think that's amazing and something to be grateful for.
And I also wanted to kind of touch on the flip side of that, like with everybody being more at home now, and spending time with their family. Like, I know domestic violence rates have gone up, and some people really do come from a super toxic household. Please reach out for help. Like, you know, if it's for your own physical, mental, emotional safety, please reach out for help. And if you don't know how to, there's always like hotline numbers as well. Just, you know, there's research that can be done, and we can provide certain ones in the description of this video when it comes out as well. But just so that people know that there is help out there. I personally work with like underprivileged youth, so I definitely know that that's a touchy subject, and it's very real right now during the pandemic. Like, a lot of fights between families happen, verbal, physical, all that. I know suicide rates are up as well, depression rates are up as well. So please, please, please reach out for help. Like, your mental health is more important than anything else, especially during a time like this. So just kind of wanted to touch up on that part, because even though for some of us, like, there is a lot of gratitude in spending more time with our family or just appreciating them in general, I know for others it may not be the case.
That's so true. Yeah, and going off what you said about mental health too, appreciating your health and has been a big topic. Health in general has been a big topic this year. So I just think, you know what, one thing is just great that was actually highlighted, you know, seeing people actually get to the core of that, you know. But yeah, my bad. Lost my thought, because what you said was, I was like, oh.
I mean, yeah, like, overall, just your health, right? And when we say health, it's everything: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, every type of health. They are all connected. If one sector or section of your health is off balance, then it may throw off other parts. So just really prioritize your health in any best way that you can. And if you don't know how, again, you can go to the internet for that and really start your research, visit your doctor if you're able to. There's a lot of telehealth services going on right now as well. You can still talk to a therapist. There's a lot of different outlets for us to be able to watch for our health right now, because I think, yeah, that's the most important thing that we should be focusing on.
Also, like, keeping healthy habits through the negative clouds, because I know for me, there was a time when, you know, if I was going through something, I would turn to unhealthy habits, you know. So I think with everything going on, like you said, the rise of depression, the rise of abuse, you know, things going on, it is important to still keep our eye on all those things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know, 2020 is just crazy, dude. And because there's so much negativity, it's going on to social media also. And I think, you know, social media used to be so fun. Like, while there's a lot of like good content still being released and everything, I personally, and I know you did too, we took a social media cleanse at one point, different points obviously, and for different purposes. But like, it was taking a toll on our mental health, or, you know, I'm speaking for myself, like my mental health. And yeah, I took it for a good month or so. I actually got the idea from one of my friends to do the same thing, and like, I just used that time to really disconnect and really regroup myself, especially because at that time it was like when everything was just super heated in this country, and it just, yeah, like, you know, as much as I love speaking out and advocating and everything, like, I need my breaks too. And just saying that for anybody out there, whether you are vocally active on social media or just, you know, scrolling through or whatever, if you feel like it's draining you more than helping, feel free to take that cleanse. It's okay. And however long you take it is up to you. But yeah, that's definitely something I learned to do in 2020. And I've started implementing it little by little more often.
Yeah, because I feel like every time you scroll on a post, you taking in whatever the hell they posted. And that's, yeah, personally why I took it too. And I'm at a point, like, since I've been doing those cleanses, okay, now that I'm back active, I'm not even on it as much. Like, it's like, okay, I can just, I'll look at it, whatever, do things for the show, whatever, and then get back off. And I think that's healthy for me, because it's like, it's already enough going on in the household, enough going on in my personal life, that, the last thing I want to see is something that's draining it even more, And no wrong, there's nothing wrong with people venting and stuff, but I just think if you're a person who's sensitive to that being thrown at you, it's okay to just take a break from it and regroup and get yourself in order. Like, you don't feel pressured either to feel like you have to post and make it seem like you're okay if you're really not. Like, I feel like that's something we need to normalize. We're in a time where we feel like we always have to show we're okay, going through the most, but still have to put the facade up. And it's like, it's okay if you're not okay. And I think we need to normalize that in that aspect, where it's like, we don't need to do that. And another thing, please cut out the news as much. There's nothing wrong with staying alert, knowing what's going on. I'm not saying don't keep up with the trending news, trending topics, but that can be draining. Like, there's been times, like, and it's been left on, and I'm like, I just, like, it's only so much we can take, because we're already battling our own stuff. And I think, honestly, if you focus on your household, focus on your life, your household, your family, it'll alleviate a lot. Because I think it's already enough going on in your own bubble. Imagine taking in the world's bubble. I feel like a lot of this stuff that's going on, it's uncontrollable. A lot of rumors are being spread. People are posting false news, false this, false that. You don't even know what's true anymore, what's going to happen, or predictions that, this is... Live in this moment, obviously prepare, be safe, of course, and, think with your mind, think completely, pray about it. But what I want to say is just be cautious what you're taking in on a daily basis, because that right there will mess with your mental health. Even if you're not taking it in that moment, it'll be in the back of your mind. It'll come up in your thoughts. It will distract you, and it'll add to this negative wave that's been out.
Or just, like information overload. At least I know for me, that was the case too. Well, I started like trying to keep up with everything that was going on with whatever brand new topic was being talked about. And I just realized it was way too much. And we cannot do that. There's no way we can function from that. Like, I think my anxiety was through the roof at that point. And I just realized I need to stop. And it's okay if I don't know everything. It's okay if I'm not super up to date as soon as it happens, because why? Like, what's the point at that moment? Like, if I find out an hour after it happens or the day after it happens, that's okay too. I gotta take a break if I need it. So just kind of normalizing that part, that it's okay to turn off the news every now and then. It's okay to limit your time on social media if you need to. And it's okay to not even be on social media if you don't want to. Just things like that. Like, I've realized there's only certain things I want to post now, and it's not so much like overloading everybody that I know about certain things I know. It's just more like, hey, if you need this reminder today, or you need a good laugh today, or whatever, then I'll post that type of thing. I try to keep it, light as possible. Obviously not neglecting what's going on in the world, and, not saying it's not real or whatever. Like, obviously, I'll post things every now and then about that, and just do my own research behind the scenes. But just normalizing that social media cleanse every now and then.
Just using it for the best, as you were saying. And another thing, I think this year, not to take other people's opinion in, we can't internalize everything that's thrown our way. When you do that, that'll add to the depression, add to, the negative emotions, so that too, really just staying in your lane, working on yourself, building yourself up, and building up the people around you. I think you can't go wrong with that. Once you build yourself up enough, what people are saying or thinking and what they're going through isn't going to bleed on you. Because you have a lot of people who were working on themselves during this pandemic, and you have people who weren't. And I feel like the people who weren't working on themselves, some people went deeper into the cloud, to where it's like you got people who really are letting out negativity to anybody, and I think that's why you just have to stay guarded in that aspect also.
I think I just want to say, dear 2020, you kicked my ass. You almost knocked me down. I met my dark side this year, but you also taught me what I'm willing to fight for.
Tell it.
And who I'm willing to fight for. And one of those people include myself. Because 2020, you taught me that I matter, that I'm important in my own life. And there's a reason I'm here. Whether I know that right now or not is up to me, and it's something I'm willing to discover for the rest of my life as long as I'm here. But it's one of the biggest blessings that 2020 has brought me, and I'm so thankful for that part. And some days are better than others. I'm not even gonna lie. But dear 2020, you tried.
Oh my goodness. For real. Like 2020, yeah, you taught me to fight for my passions. Fight for making a social change, staying true to myself, not being afraid to get real with myself, and to speak life into people, and like continue to be a light even on the darkest days, and I don't know, I think that's a blessing in disguise in itself. Me and Jen also made some huge diet changes this year too, and for the health, for the reasons of health, and honestly, I think that because, sometimes it takes, we're on our own journey with our diets or whatever we're trying, eating habits, but, the change me and Jen have been, the way me and Jen have been going, I'm just like really proud of us because it taught us discipline, taught us to stay more consistent, and things like that. So I don't know, when I look at, what I always tell people is use that fire under your ass to motivate you to get where you're going. Okay, this is a chaotic year. Okay, everything is crazy, but what are you going to do about it? How can you get better from the situation? How can you come out of this even stronger? Because this year can make you or break you. And we all got a choice. And honestly, the best, what they say, diamonds are made under pressure.
Yep.
That's literally, I feel like what 2020 was. It was very condensed. It was hard. It's rough. It still is. But you know what? It's like, as long as you keep fighting, you keep believing in yourself, you don't give up on yourself, you're doing the most to be the best version of you, you won. You won.
Seriously, and especially because no one is guaranteeing 2021 is going to be any better.
Yeah.
So all we got is our
That's
mind, our heart, our soul. Honestly, at the end of the day, like, that's why I think 2020 is so important to start reflecting. And if you feel like this year, you haven't accomplished much or whatever, that's cool. We're not bashing anybody on that. Shoot, I didn't accomplish half the things I wanted to this year. And I'm learning to practice grace with that as well. But just also realizing that because no one is guaranteeing that this is going to get better, or who's to know what 2021 is going to look like. All I have is my mindset to bring with me. All I have is this strength that I'm accumulating every single day, and just that reminder to keep going, that even though things are hard right now, if I keep waking up, there's a purpose for me here.
Remember, y'all, it's all about perspective. That's one of the things we really want you guys to take with this episode. It's all about perspective. And if like Jim was saying, if 2020 really wasn't your year, you feel like defeated, it's okay to start fresh. We're saying don't beat yourself up because a whole year passed and it's like, oh, this happened, so continue pouring love back into yourself, continue shifting your perspective, and just getting real with yourself.
You deserve it.
We hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. Thank you guys for the views this year, the downloads, the comments, the feedback. It means so much to us. SpeakUpJV has so much coming for you guys.
Seriously.
Please stay tuned. We all with y'all rocking with this craziness, but it's coming. We got y'all. Follow us on Instagram at SpeakUpJV. Follow us on Podbean at SpeakUpJV.podbean.com. We're also on Apple, Spotify. What else? Apparently iHeartRadio. And don't forget to like and subscribe, comment if you want to. We appreciate y'all tuning in, and I think we'll see you next year.
We love y'all.
Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.